Chosen one, you are about to scroll past this moment, but heaven will not allow you to. You feel that tug in your spirit, the sudden stillness, the pause that does not make sense to your mind but strikes deeply in your soul. You are not here by accident. You are not hearing this by coincidence. This moment has been orchestrated, aligned, and placed directly in front of you, because today, yes, today is the day that begins to shift everything around you. You can sense it already. Something is stirring. Something is awakening. Something inside you knows that this isn't just another message, another voice, another video. No, this is a divine interruption. Heaven is stepping into your timeline, placing its hand upon your shoulder, whispering, "Don't move. Don't scroll. Listen," because you have been running on empty, holding on by threads, convincing yourself you're fine, while silently breaking in places no one ever sees. Chosen one, you have been feeling exhausted, not because you are weak, but because you are being prepared. What you call pressure, heaven calls positioning. What you call chaos, heaven calls construction. What you call delay, heaven calls divine timing. There is a reason you have felt the pull to isolate. There is a reason your spirit has been uneasy. There is a reason certain doors closed abruptly, not as punishment, but as protection. And now, in this very moment, heaven speaks over you through ancient, unshakable truth. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 2, verse 31. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall walk and not faint. Let these words settle into you like fire. You are not losing strength. You are being renewed. You are not falling behind. You are rising higher than those who underestimated you. You are not being forgotten. You are being lifted. You feel the weight of every silent battle, every disappointment, every lonely night beginning to shake loose from your spirit, because something in you recognizes this truth. God is not finished with you. The enemy wanted you to believe you were done, drained, defeated, but heaven says otherwise. You are stepping into a day that will realign your spirit, a day that will resurrect what felt dead inside you, a day that marks a shift in your path. Chosen one, hear me. Your name is being spoken in rooms you have never entered. Your future is being shaped in realms you cannot see. Your strength is being restored even now as you listen. Your calling is waking up again. You feel that stirring in your chest, that warmth in your spirit. That's recognition. That's truth hitting the parts of you that have been asleep. Heaven is confirming. You are chosen. You are marked. You are set apart. And right here, right now, you are being invited to step into agreement with what God has been trying to tell you for months. You are being called out of hesitation, out of fear, out of spiritual numbness, out of the voice that tells you to give up quietly and fade away. You are not fading. You are rising. And today begins that rise. But listen carefully. Heaven responds to action. Destiny responds to obedience. Transformation responds to alignment. So before this moment passes and your mind tries to convince you that this is just another message, you are being called to seal this moment with a simple act of faith. If this is reaching you, if something in you knows this message is not random, then pause, breathe, and step into alignment. Chosen one. Like this message, so it anchors itself in your spirit. Share it so the same breakthrough touches someone connected to your destiny. Comment to declare your agreement. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, because heaven is not finished speaking to you, and you cannot afford to miss what comes next. Right now, at the very end of this section, to mark your obedience, your readiness, and your spiritual alignment, type this prophetic number in the comments. 777, a number of completion, a number of divine alignment, a number that marks the beginning of a new cycle in your life. Today is the day heaven interrupts everything. Today is the day your strength returns. Today is the day everything shifts. You begin to realize, chosen one, that the reason your life has never aligned with the pattern of those around you is because you were never meant to fit into the places others settle for. Since childhood, you sensed something different about yourself, something unexplainable, something that made you feel both set apart and misunderstood. While others blended effortlessly into their surroundings, you felt like an outsider, observing, sensing, perceiving at deeper levels than anyone ever acknowledged. You tried to fit in. You tried to mirror their steps, their choices, their behaviors, their pace. But every time you attempted to shrink your spirit to match their expectations, something inside you revolted. Your soul resisted smallness. Your spirit rejected conformity. Your inner voice whispered, "You are not like them." And you felt it in the way people reacted to you. Sometimes with admiration, other times with discomfort. Not because you did anything wrong, but because your presence carried a different frequency. Light annoys those comfortable in shadows. Purpose disturbs those who live without direction. Calling separates those who walk with heaven from those who walk with the crowd. You didn't choose this separation. It chose you. Even in seasons where you begged God to make you normal, to let you blend in, to remove the intensity and weight you felt in your spirit, He never did. Because chosen vessels are shaped differently. Their souls are wired for greater things, higher things, deeper things. What frustrates you today will be the very evidence of your calling tomorrow. The times you felt out of place were not signs of rejection, they were signs of assignment. The friends who couldn't stay, the rooms that couldn't hold you, the opportunities that slipped from your hands, the people who saw your value yet tried to minimize it, the relationships that cracked under the pressure of who you are becoming. All of it was shaping you for a path that not everyone is allowed to walk. And as this truth rises within you, heaven reminds you of ancient words that have echoed through generations. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, though it tarry. Wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not delay." There it is, the confirmation you've needed, but never had the courage to admit. The timing of your life is different because the vision attached to your life is different. You've seen glimpses of it in your dreams. You've felt flickers of it in moments of stillness. You've caught hints of it in the way people react to you without knowing why. That tug in your soul isn't confusion, it's calling. That restlessness isn't dysfunction, it's divine acceleration. That inner tension isn't a flaw, it's a sign that what is inside you is bigger than the spaces you've tried to occupy. This is why you've always been sensitive to the atmosphere around you. Why you pick up emotions others overlook. Why you can't tolerate fake environments or shallow conversations. Why you crave depth, truth, meaning, purpose. Why spiritual things awaken something powerful in you? You were built spiritually first. Naturally, second. While others live on the surface of life, you feel everything at a deeper, more spiritual frequency. And though it has caused pain, it has also protected you. You see danger before it arrives. You sense deception before it manifests. You discern spirits, intentions, energies, and shifts without needing explanations. That's not intuition, it's anointing. And yet, because of this, you've often felt alone. You've often questioned yourself. You've wondered why no one fully understands the way your mind processes or your heart feels. But listen carefully. You are not alone. You are set apart. You are not misunderstood. You are spiritually advanced. You are not too much. You are exactly what God designed you to be. Your separation has purpose. Your difference has destiny. Your uniqueness has assignment. Chosen one. This is why certain people couldn't stay connected to you. They were not equipped to handle the weight you carry or the future you are stepping into. Their exit wasn't an accident, it was a clearing. Every mismatched connection had to fall away, so heaven could align you with those who see you for who you truly are, not who you were pretending to be. You may not have known it then, but heaven knew all along. Your life is a divine blueprint. Your steps are ordered. Your timing is intentional. Your path is unlike any other. And the very things that made you feel different are the things that qualify you for what you are stepping into now. You are beginning to see the truth. You weren't made to fit in. You were made to stand out. You weren't made to follow. You were made to lead. You weren't made to blend. You were made to shine. And this is only the beginning of what you are awakening to. Chosen one. The burden you have carried quietly, silently, without applause or recognition, has never been random. You have felt weight that others never noticed, responsibilities you never asked for, and emotions you could never fully explain. It has followed you through seasons where you wondered why your heart felt heavier than those around you, why you sensed danger before storms arrived, and why you experienced warfare even when life seemed calm. That weight was not weakness. It was evidence. Evidence that you were marked. Evidence that you were chosen. Evidence that your spirit was built differently. While others moved through life unaware, you were the one who felt the tension in the atmosphere before anything happened. You were the one who sensed when something was wrong without seeing proof. You were the one who absorbed pain in rooms where no one spoke of it. That sensitivity has often exhausted you, but it is also what makes you powerful. What you carry is spiritual, not emotional. What you feel is divine, not dramatic. What you absorb is intentional, not accidental. And heaven has watched every moment you carried burdens that weren't yours, simply because your heart was too compassionate to let someone break alone. You have prayed for others while your own heart was bleeding. You have encouraged people who never cared to check on you. You have stood strong in battles that were not yours, but came to you because you were the only one spiritually equipped to handle the fire without burning. Chosen one. This is why people have leaned on you. They felt something in you. They couldn't explain stability, strength, spiritual grounding. Your presence is calming because your spirit is anchored. Your voice carries weight because it speaks truth. Your existence alone disrupts spiritual darkness, even when you're unaware of it. And heaven now reminds you through ancient words that affirm this call you carry. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 27. Verse 1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? There it is, the underlying truth behind your endurance. You have survived things that would have crushed others, not because you were strong on your own, but because heaven strengthened you for an assignment that requires resilience. Your battles have been training, your tears have been watering seeds. Your endurance has been preparation. Every season of heaviness shaped you into someone darkness cannot control. You have walked through valleys designed to break you. Yet here you are, still rising, still fighting, still breathing purpose into the world. That is not accidental. That is divine selection. You are the kind of soul heaven trusts with hard missions. You carry a spiritual authority you haven't even fully discovered yet. And the enemy recognized it long before you did. That's why your childhood was targeted. That's why you were attacked early. That's why you faced betrayal, abandonment, or emotional wounds before you even understood what spiritual warfare was. The enemy always strikes early at those marked for greatness. But despite it all, you rose, bruised, yes, tired, yes, confused, often, but broken, never. Because a chosen one may bend, but they do not shatter. You are beginning to see it now. The burden you carried wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Heaven trusted you with weight because heaven trusted you with impact. You were being shaped into someone who can stand for others, speak truth boldly, and walk with spiritual authority. And now, chosen one, heaven invites you to acknowledge what your spirit already knows. You are chosen, anointed, and set apart for something bigger. To seal this awakening, to step into agreement with what heaven is stirring inside you, I want you to comment a short declaration, not more than 4 words, but powerful enough to shift the atmosphere within you. I carry purpose. Type it. And let me tell you why it matters. When you comment those words, you are not just participating, you are aligning. You are affirming to your spirit what heaven has whispered for years. You are breaking agreement with every lie that told you that your weight was a flaw instead of a calling. You are declaring boldly that everything you have survived has shaped you for something extraordinary. You are not weak. You are not random. You are not overlooked. You carry purpose. And heaven is just beginning to reveal why. You have walked through battles no one ever saw. Chosen one, silent battles. Internal wars. Spiritual storms that tore through the hidden places of your heart, while others lived unaware of the darkness moving around them. You were the one who felt every shift, every threat, every unseen pressure. These battles didn't show up in your schedule, they emerged in your spirit. They struck you in the middle of the night, in the moments you tried to rest, in seasons where everything looked fine on the surface, but felt chaotic underneath. You've experienced warfare without a visible enemy. You've felt heaviness without a clear source. You've been drained by forces you couldn't name. People around you saw your strength, but they never saw the nights you lay awake, sensing something pressing against your soul. They didn't know how often your heart raced for no reason, how many times you felt watched, attacked, or spiritually threatened, even while doing nothing wrong. Chosen ones are often soldiers before they ever realize they're enlisted. And that is what has been happening to you long before you had the language for it. Long before you understood spiritual warfare. Long before you recognized what was being targeted. The enemy saw your potential before you saw it yourself. Darkness recognized your light even when you were still living in confusion. And so, the battles began early, often, and unexpectedly. There were moments you felt like something was trying to break you. Moments you sensed a weight that didn't belong to you. Moments where your spirit was alert while your mind didn't understand why. These weren't coincidences. They weren't random emotional waves. They were spiritual signals, warnings, alerts, confirmations that you were walking through invisible resistance. And you fought alone, not because you wanted to, but because no one else understood what you were experiencing. You tried explaining the heaviness, the fatigue, the tension in your spirit, but people brushed it off. They said you were overthinking, too sensitive, too emotional, too intense. But heaven knew, heaven saw, heaven understood, and every silent battle shaped you. It sharpened your discernment. It strengthened your intuition. It awakened your spiritual senses. It taught you to recognize danger before it manifested. It trained you to withstand pressure that would collapse others. What felt like torment was actually training. What felt like confusion was actually elevation. What felt like spiritual attacks were signs that heaven had placed something powerful inside you, something darkness feared. And in this moment, heaven brings ancient truth to the surface to remind you of the authority you carry. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 20, verse 4. For the Lord your God is he that goes with you, to fight for you against your enemies, to give you victory. Let those words settle into your bones. You were never fighting alone. Even in the seasons where no one prayed with you, heaven was fighting for you. Even in the nights you couldn't speak a word, God stood guard over your soul. Even in the moments you felt spiritually attacked, unseen forces surrounded you, protecting, covering, shielding. That is why you survived battles that should have destroyed you. That is why depression couldn't swallow you whole. That is why fear didn't paralyze your purpose. That is why anxiety didn't turn your spirit cold. That is why darkness never claimed your mind. Because you are not ordinary. You are not unprotected. You are not spiritually fragile. You are chosen, and the enemy has always known it. That's why certain things intensified when you started seeking purpose. Why warfare increased when you began healing. Why old struggles resurfaced when you tried to rise. Why spiritual pressure appeared when you tried to draw closer to God. Every time you move toward destiny, darkness reacts. But this time, this season, you are different. You feel the shift. You feel the clarity coming. You feel your spirit strengthening again. You feel the confusion breaking. You feel your mind awakening. What once drained you now exposes itself as weak. What once threatened you now appears small. What once overwhelmed you now teaches you who you truly are. The silent battles were not meant to crush you. They were meant to reveal you. Reveal your capacity. Reveal your resilience. Reveal your spiritual authority. Reveal the truth that your spirit is more powerful than you ever imagined. And now, chosen one, as you stand here in this moment, you are beginning to understand. Everything you fought in secret was shaping you for everything you will walk in publicly. Nothing was wasted. Not the tears, not the nights, not the fear, not the confusion. All of it was molding you into someone darkness can no longer intimidate. You may not have realized it until now, but you are stepping into a version of yourself that has learned to conquer invisible battles silently, powerfully, victoriously. And this is only the beginning. You feel it rising within you now. Chosen one, this undeniable sense that heaven has been watching your every step. Especially the moments when you thought no one noticed your struggle. There were days when you wanted to disappear. Moments when you wondered if your prayers dissolved before reaching the sky. Seasons where your strength felt thin, and yet, somehow, you kept standing. You kept moving. You kept believing even when belief felt like a burden. Heaven saw that. Heaven honored that. Heaven guarded that flame inside you. And now, in this very moment, something powerful begins to shift. It is as if God Himself has reached into your story and placed His hand beneath your chin, lifting your face towards hope again. Because this is your rising season, not loud, not dramatic, but steady like the sun climbing over a long, dark horizon. You have walked through enough nights to appreciate the first glow of dawn. Every tear watered something. Every setback shaped something. Every disappointment refined something. The world sees pain. Heaven sees preparation. But listen, chosen one, there is something deeper happening in you now. You are beginning to understand that your life has never been random. Your battles were never meaningless. Your wounds were never wasted. You were being sculpted like a vessel in the potter's hands, shaped for a purpose you are only now starting to recognize. And heaven reminds you of this truth through ancient words, as Jesus Himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. You've tried to dim yourself. You've tried to shrink. You've tried to stay small so you wouldn't disturb anyone. But chosen ones can't stay hidden. Light refuses to stay buried. Purpose refuses to stay silent. You've been rising in ways you don't even see yet. And chosen one, I want you to imagine this. You are like a lighthouse standing at the edge of a raging ocean. The storm is fierce. The waves crash violently. And yet your light keeps shining, guiding, lifting, calling others safely through their darkness. You may not realize it, but people around you have survived storms because your presence steadied them. You have been an anchor in ways you never acknowledged. Now heaven is calling you higher. But every rising season comes with divine alignment. Just as a tree stretches upward towards sunlight, it must also release the weight of old, dead branches. As you rise, heaven will bring people, resources, opportunities, and connections that match your calling, not your past. And this is the moment, beloved chosen one, where I speak gently but honestly. If these messages lift you, strengthen you, or help you stand taller in your spirit, I invite you to support this mission in the ways you feel led, not out of pressure, not out of guilt, but out of alignment, like planting seed in soil that feeds your spirit. A simple like helps this message reach another soul standing on the edge of their breakthrough. A share becomes a lifeline to someone who needs the reminder you just received. A subscribe keeps you connected so you never miss the words heaven is bringing to you in this season. And if your heart ever feels stirred to donate, see it not as giving away something, but as pouring oil back into the flame that warms your own spirit. Only do so when it feels true, never forced. You are not supporting a person, you are supporting the very message that has been supporting you. Just like a candle does not lose its flame by lighting another, you are invited to keep the glow moving through acts of alignment. Heaven sees generosity not in the amount, but in the sincerity of the heart behind it. And hear this clearly: your rising is not loud, but it is undeniable. Your calling is not common, but it is awakening. Your spirit is not weak, but rebuilding itself with fresh fire. Heaven is watching you rise the way a gardener watches a flower after a long winter, carefully, joyfully, patiently, knowing the bloom will be worth every season of darkness. You are stepping into clarity. You are stepping into strength. You are stepping into the version of yourself that heaven always saw. Chosen one, you may not realize it yet, but you are becoming a beacon, one whose light cannot remain hidden. The storm may still roar, the journey may still stretch long, but you are rising, slowly and steadily, into the fullness of who you were always meant to be. And heaven watches, smiling. There are moments in your life, chosen one, when heaven does not simply whisper, heaven intervenes. And this, right now, is one of those moments. You may not realize it yet, but you have been walking dangerously close to a spiritual edge. Not because you are rebellious, not because you are careless, but because the warfare around you has intensified while your spirit has grown tired. You've been fighting battles without rest, carrying responsibilities without support, moving forward while feeling spiritually drained. You've pushed through pain that no one knew existed. And in the pressure, in the fatigue, in the internal stretch, something inside you began drifting subtly, quietly, almost unnoticed. Your strength dimmed a little. Your alertness softened. Your discernment grew hazy. You started tolerating things you once rejected. You started overlooking warning signs you once recognized instantly. This isn't weakness, this is exhaustion. Even chosen vessels get tired. Even warriors stumble. Even the strong need rescue sometimes. And that is why heaven is stepping in now. Because you have been walking at the edge emotionally, spiritually, mentally. You've been close to decisions that would have derailed your purpose, close to connections that would have drained your calling, close to choices that look harmless but carry heavy spiritual consequences. You've been tempted to give up, tempted to retreat, tempted to silence your own growth just to have peace. But heaven says, no, not you, not now. And in this moment, ancient truth speaks to pull you back from that cliff. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 31, verse 3. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore with loving kindness have I drawn you. You are being drawn back, not pushed, not punished, not scolded. Drawn like a parent, lifting their child from danger. Not with anger, but with love. You may feel tension right now, a pull in your spirit, a sense of urgency you cannot explain. That is heaven's hand on your soul saying, come back to yourself, come back to your purpose, come back to alignment. Because the truth is, chosen one, you know when your spirit begins to drift. You can feel the heaviness, the dullness, the spiritual fog settling over your mind. You can feel when you start letting your boundaries slide, when you start letting voices in that do not belong, when you start sacrificing peace for comfort. But heaven refuses to let you lose yourself now. Not after everything you've survived. Not after the battles you've overcome. Not after the growth you've stepped into. This is a turning point. You may not see the danger, but the spiritual realm sees it clearly. There are traps being set in silence, doors that look good but lead to cycles you already escaped, opportunities that seem promising but aim to drain your spirit, people whose words sound comforting but carry distraction. And that is why heaven is raising the alarm within you, not to scare you, but to save you. You have been walking with a tired heart, but you are not meant to fall. You have been carrying more than your spirit was built to hold alone. You've let certain weights linger because you didn't want to burden anyone. You've kept quiet about the spiritual tension, pretending everything is fine on the outside while feeling stretched thin on the inside. Heaven sees it all. And this intervention is not a warning of punishment, it is a reminder of value. You drifted because you are human. You are being called back because you are chosen. And right here, right now, you are being pulled back from spiritual danger. You are being recentered. You are being awakened to what is happening around you. The fog is lifting. The confusion is clearing. The heaviness is breaking. Your spirit is recognizing the subtle pull of misalignment and saying, "No more. Len, you cannot afford to drift now. You cannot afford to lose focus. You cannot afford to give darkness a foothold. Your destiny is too great. Your calling is too real. Your anointing is too powerful." And so, to anchor your spirit back into alignment, to declare that you hear heaven's call and respond with obedience, I want you to comment a prophetic number at the end of this section, a number we have not used before. Type this number in the comments, 444. And here is why. 4 is the number of foundation. 4 speaks of stability. 4 represents order, structure, and spiritual grounding. When you type 444, you are declaring, "I will not fall. Now, I return to alignment. And my foundation is being restored." And this number becomes your anchor, your spiritual stand, your declaration that heaven reached for you. And you reached back. Chosen one. You are being pulled away from danger and placed back into safety. You are returning to clarity. You are stepping back into purpose. You are rising again, this time steadier than before. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when conviction stops feeling like discomfort and begins to feel like direction. And that is where you stand now. Not in punishment, not in shame, not in spiritual guilt, but in a holy awakening, one that gently calls you back into alignment with who you truly are. Chosen one. You have felt it recently, that inner tug, that quiet pull, that soft whisper in your spirit that says, "This isn't you, come back." Not in an accusing tone, not in a condemning voice, but in a way that feels like someone who deeply loves you, placing their hand over yours and guiding you gently away from things that dim your soul. Conviction is not God pointing out your failures. Conviction is God pointing you toward your future. It is the light that flickers in your spirit when you step outside of who you are becoming. It is the heaviness you feel when you settle for less than your calling. It is the unease that stirs inside you when you engage with people or choices that do not align with your destiny. Where others feel nothing, you feel everything because your spirit is alive. And heaven wants you to know something today. Conviction is a gift reserved only for those who are marked. It is heaven's evidence that God has not abandoned you, has not given up on you, and has not let your purpose slip out of his hands. If anything, conviction is proof that he still pursues you. He still reaches for you. He still sees greatness inside you, even in the moments you forget it. And the ancient words remind your heart of this truth, according to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 12. For whom the Lord loves, he corrects, even as a father the son in whom he delights. Do you feel that? Correction is not rejection. Correction is affection. The very thing you feared proved the opposite. God has not withdrawn his presence. You feel conviction because his presence is near. You have recently sensed this in your spirit. Moments where something didn't sit right with you. Even when your mind tried to rationalize it. Situations where you could feel yourself drifting not far, but enough to lose your glow, enough to blur your clarity, enough to feel your heart tightening in ways you couldn't explain. You weren't being punished. You were being protected. Conviction pulled you away from conversations that drained your anointing. Conviction tightened your spirit when you attempted to lower your standards. Conviction whispered when your old patterns tried to revisit your life. Chosen one, you must understand this. Conviction is the compass of the anointed. It turns your spirit before your steps ever turn. It awakens you before you fall too deeply. It strengthens you before consequences ever reach you. But conviction also reveals growth. You are not who you used to be. The things that once didn't bother you now disturb your peace. The choices you once tolerated now feel heavy in your spirit. The conversations you once entertained now feel spiritually off. This is transformation. This is maturity. This is awakening. You are beginning to see your worth. Your sensitivity to divine alignment is sharpening. Your spirit is recognizing the difference between what nurtures you and what drains you, between what strengthens you and what distracts you, between what elevates you and what entangles you. And all of this is leading you into a deeper truth. You are being shaped, not shamed. You are being guided, not judged. You are being prepared, not punished. Conviction is heaven's way of pulling you closer. It is the gentle hand that stops you from repeating cycles you already escaped. It is the inner light that exposes what no longer belongs in your life. It is the spiritual alarm that keeps your destiny from slipping off course. And I want you to notice something powerful. Conviction always comes before elevation. You are being refined because something greater is approaching. You are being corrected because a new season demands a stronger version of you. You are being cleansed because the next chapter cannot be carried with the residue of the last. The parts of you that felt uncomfortable lately, those areas heaven touched with gentle pressure, are the very parts that were blocking your breakthrough. And now, as conviction softens your heart, clarity returns to your mind. You begin to see the truth with fresh eyes. You realize your spirit knew the way even when your emotions were confused. And you feel something rising in you, a steadiness, a purity, a renewed desire to walk in alignment. You are becoming lighter. You are becoming clearer. You are becoming more spiritually grounded. Chosen one. Conviction did not come to break you. It came to build you. It came to cleanse the path before you. It came to strengthen your steps for the season you are entering. And as you breathe in this moment, something inside you exhales. Finally, you are forgiven. You are aligned. You are ready. There is a moment, a turning, a shift when darkness realizes it no longer has a grip on you. And chosen one. That moment is now. You may not see it clearly yet, but your spirit feels it. Something is breaking. Something is loosening. Something that once weighed heavily on your chest is losing its power. For a long time, You carried battles that didn't belong to you. You absorbed emotions that weren't yours. You felt heaviness that entered rooms before anyone spoke. And you mistook that sensitivity for weakness, but heaven always knew it was your strength. Because darkness never attacks the weak. It attacks the rising. It attacks the called. It attacks the ones with authority, even before they realize they have it. And for years, darkness has studied you. It has watched your reactions, your weaknesses, your compassion, your resilience. It has tried to wear you down by sending battles disguised as coincidence, people disguised as comfort, and thoughts disguised as truth. But everything darkness sent failed, not because you were always strong, but because heaven never left your side. There were nights your mind felt like a battlefield, mornings where your body felt heavy, days when you wondered why you had to carry so much for so long. You questioned your strength, never realizing that if darkness truly had a grip on you, you wouldn't be questioning, you'd be sinking. The fact that you fought, pressed, endured, and kept going is proof that darkness never had ownership over you. It only had access, and access can be revoked. That is what is happening now. The pressure you felt recently wasn't the enemy winning, it was the enemy panicking. Because every time you rise spiritually, something in the unseen world trembles. Darkness senses your awakening long before you recognize it. And heaven now brings you a truth that has echoed through generations, a truth that exposes just how powerless darkness truly is against you. The ancient words recorded in Romans, chapter 8, verse 37. Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. Read that again in your spirit, more than conquerors. Not barely surviving, not almost overcoming, not occasionally winning. More than conquerors. Your spirit was built for victory. Your soul was crafted for endurance. Your destiny was woven with triumph, embedded in its design. And that is why darkness has been losing its grip. Because you stopped agreeing with lies. Because you stopped shrinking out of fear. Because you stopped surrendering your peace to people who didn't value it. Because you started waking up to your identity. You may not have shouted it. You may not have announced it. You may not have told anyone, but something in you shifted. You got tired. Not tired enough to break, but tired enough to rise. And the moment a chosen one rises, even softly, even quietly, the entire atmosphere around them begins to change. Attacks that once intimidated you now reveal their lack of power. Thoughts that once tormented you now appear as lies. Temptations that once pulled you now reveal their emptiness. People who once drained you now lose their influence over your heart. You are not the same person darkness tried to fight years ago. Your spirit is stronger. Your discernment is sharper. Your boundaries are firmer. Your mind is clearer. And heaven smiles when you begin to realize this. You aren't slipping, you're strengthening. You aren't falling, you're awakening. You aren't losing, you're outgrowing. When darkness loses its grip, it tries one last tactic: distraction. It tries to keep you busy with noise, with unnecessary people, with old wounds, with temporary emotions. Not because it has power, but because it has lost access. Chosen one. Your spirit is stepping into freedom, not the loud kind, not the dramatic kind, but the deep kind, the kind that changes how you think, how you choose, how you respond, how you carry yourself. You are beginning to see the truth behind every attack. Darkness feared the version of you that you are becoming now. And now that freedom is unfolding, you feel lighter, not because everything around you has changed, but because you are changing. Your patience is different. Your insight is different. Your reactions are different. Your peace is different. You no longer break under pressure, you breathe through it. You no longer panic in uncertainty, you wait with clarity. You no longer fall for spiritual traps, you see them from a distance. You are stepping into a season where darkness cannot hold you, cannot confuse you, cannot manipulate you, cannot intimidate you. You have outgrown too many chains to ever return to them. And though the journey ahead will still require strength, you now know the truth. You do not walk alone. You do not fight alone. You do not rise alone. Heaven goes with you. Victory surrounds you. Purpose sustains you. And darkness, it stands powerless at the sight of who you are becoming. Something is awakening inside you now. Chosen one. Something that has been waiting beneath the surface for far too long. It is the sense of authority, the rising of identity, the realization that you were never meant to walk through life timid, unsure, or uncertain of who you truly are. This is the season where you begin to recognize your crown, not the visible one, but the spiritual one you were marked with long before you understood its weight. For most of your life, you have felt like you were balancing between two worlds. The world that tried to shape you into something smaller, and the world your spirit knew you were destined to step into. You've battled doubt, wrestled with insecurity, second-guessed your worth, and questioned whether you truly have what it takes to fulfill the calling burning inside you. But now, the fog is clearing. The hesitation is breaking. The old version of you, the one who apologized for existing, the one who shrank so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable, the one who questioned every spiritual nudge, is fading away. You are beginning to realize that you were not created to walk in fear. You were created to walk in authority. You were created to carry wisdom. You were created to speak with clarity and stand with conviction. The Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 15, verse 58, "Be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for your labor is not in vain." These are not traits of someone weak or uncertain. These are the traits of someone crowned, someone chosen, someone rising into spiritual maturity and divine purpose. Your crown is not made of gold, it is made of resilience. It is forged through every battle survived, every storm endured, every moment you kept going, even when you felt like collapsing. Your crown is made of every yes whispered in faith and every no spoken in spiritual clarity. Your crown is proof that heaven has invested heavily in your life. But to truly step into this crown, to claim the spiritual authority that has always been yours, you must make a decision, not a loud one, not a dramatic one, a quiet but powerful decision that heaven will recognize instantly, a decision to choose alignment over chaos, purpose over distraction, light over confusion, and to seal this moment, to mark it in the spiritual realm with clarity and intention. I invite you to leave a declaration in the comments, a short phrase under 4 words that becomes your spiritual stance in this moment of awakening. I choose light. And 3 words. Simple, but powerful. Let me tell you why. When you write those words, You are not just typing a comment. You are aligning yourself with the direction your spirit is already moving toward. You are declaring to heaven, to your future, and even to your own mind that you are done walking with dimmed vision. You are done letting old patterns have access to your growth. You are done letting shadows dictate your steps. Choosing light means choosing clarity, choosing healing, choosing truth, choosing obedience, choosing purpose. Chosen one. This is not a small declaration. It is a shift. Because the moment you choose light, darkness loses permission to speak into your identity. The moment you choose light, confusion loses the ability to cloud your decisions. The moment you choose light, your crown settles more firmly upon your spirit. And as this realization spreads through you, you begin to understand. You were created to walk in authority. You were created to speak truth. You were created to carry spiritual weight. You were created to stand tall, even when everything around you tries to bend you. The crown you carry is not symbolic, it is functional. It gives you access to spiritual discernment. It gives you strength in places where others crumble. It gives you clarity in moments where others panic. And you have stepped into a season where your crown is being recognized in the spiritual realm. That is why your battles have been intense. That is why you've been tested. That is why certain people became uncomfortable around you. Your authority exposes what is unhealed in others. But you are ready now. Ready to walk with confidence, ready to speak with clarity, ready to stand with spiritual boldness. Your crown is not something you earn, it is something you accept. And when you declare, "I choose light," you are choosing to wear it fully. You are choosing purpose. You are choosing truth. You are choosing destiny. You are choosing the identity heaven placed inside you from the very beginning. Chosen one. You are rising now, not quietly, but unmistakably. There is a sacred moment in every chosen one's journey when the tide begins to turn, not slowly, not subtly, but unmistakably. You feel it before you see it. A quiet shift, a soft lifting, a sense that the heaviness that clung to you for so long is finally loosening its grip. And chosen one, that is where you stand now. For years, it felt like life was pulling you backward, like every time you took one step forward, something unseen pushed you 2 steps back, like your prayers were seeds thrown into dry soil, never sprouting, never rising. You watched others bloom while you waited. You watched doors open for people who barely knocked, while you kept pounding with no answer. But what you did not see was the movement beneath the surface. You were like a seed planted deeper than others. The darkness you thought was suffocating you was actually protecting you. The soil that hid you was strengthening you. The delay that frustrated you was anchoring you. And now, the season of burial has ended. The season of rising begins. Heaven brings confirmation through ancient truth that still shakes the earth. As was spoken in the sacred texts of old, in the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 19, "Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not perceive it?" Hear that again. Now it shall spring forth. Not next year, not someday, not when everything is perfect. Now, your tide is turning in real time. And just like the ocean does not ask permission to reclaim its shore, heaven does not ask permission to restore what belongs to you. When the tide shifts, everything changes. Debris washes away. What was hidden beneath the water becomes visible What was stuck begins to move. What looked lifeless becomes alive again. You are stepping into a season where God is reversing what was meant to break you. The closed doors that wounded you are becoming redirections. The disappointments that scarred you are becoming testimonies. The people who left you are becoming proof that God clears space before elevation. Imagine a broken vessel being placed into the hands of a master potter. To the untrained eye, it looks shattered beyond repair. But to the potter, every crack is an entry point for restoration. That is you now being reshaped, repurposed, refined. God is not simply mending you, He is redesigning you for greater capacity. And in this sacred turning of the tide, you are invited into something deeper partnership. Because these words, this guidance, this spiritual nourishment you receive, it is not entertainment. It is oil for your spirit. It is bread for your soul. And if it has lifted you, strengthened you, or carried you in moments where you felt empty, then I invite you gently, sincerely, without pressure to help keep this flow alive. A simple like is like dropping a pebble into a lake. Its ripple reaches places you cannot see. A share becomes a lantern. You pass to another soul walking through their night. A subscribe keeps you connected to the lifeline. Heaven has been sending you in this season. And if you ever choose to donate, see it not as giving something away, but as pouring oil back into the vessel that has been pouring into you. Only so from sincerity, never obligation. And hear me clearly, you are not supporting a person, you are supporting the message that has supported you. You are helping keep this lighthouse shining for others who are still lost in their storm. You are part of something bigger than you know. Because just like a single candle can ignite thousands without losing its own flame, your support, whatever shape it takes, allows this light to continue reaching others who desperately need hope. Chosen one, your tide is not just turning, it is roaring. The wind is shifting. The resistance is weakening. The doors that once refused to move are beginning to open with ease. You will begin to notice it in small ways first. A weight lifting for no reason. A clarity returning that you thought you lost. A peace settling where confusion once lived. Unexpected favor. Unexpected opportunities. Unexpected breakthroughs. These are the signs of a divine reversal. You suffered long. You endured much. You held on when everything told you to let go. Heaven saw all of it. And now, the one who watched you weep in silence is the same one raising you in public. The one who hid you in the soil is the same one revealing your bloom. The one who allowed your pruning is the same one preparing your harvest. Your tide is turning. Chosen one. And once it turns in your favor, nothing and no one will be able to push it back. There is a stirring within you now. Chosen one, quiet at first, like the faint rustle of leaves before a rising wind, but undeniable. It is the awakening of your anointing, not the kind that arrives with thunder, nor the kind that needs validation from others, but the kind that grows within you like a flame that refuses to die. For so long, you have underestimated yourself. You saw your compassion as softness, your intuition as overthinking, your sensitivity as weakness, your discernment as worry. But heaven saw something different. Heaven saw oil. Heaven saw calling. Heaven saw mantle. And now, the anointing that has been resting quietly on your life is beginning to rise to the surface. You have always carried something others couldn't explain. They sensed it in your presence. even when you didn't. They felt peace around you without understanding why. They confided in you without knowing what drew them. People you barely knew came to you with their pain, their secrets, their broken places, because something in your spirit called to them. That something is your anointing, and you have felt it too, even if you couldn't name it. In the way you notice what others miss, in the way you feel God tug at your spirit before circumstances shift, in the way your heart breaks for people, even the ones who hurt you, in the way you speak truth without trying to impress, in the way your presence changes the atmosphere of a room. Chosen one, you were born with spiritual weight. Not everyone carries it. Not everyone can handle it. Not everyone is entrusted with it. And now, as you are stepping into deeper awareness, heaven reminds you of a truth spoken long ago. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 33, verse 14. My presence shall go with you, and I will give you rest. This is the foundation of your anointing, God's presence, not your perfection, not your achievements, not your appearance, not your history. His presence is the oil on your life, and His presence has rested on you even when you felt far from Him, even when you questioned yourself, even when you walked through seasons of silence, even when you wondered why you felt so different from everyone else. That difference was your calling, tapping on the walls of your soul. Your anointing is awakening now because the world needs what you carry. Your wisdom, your clarity, your compassion, your strength, your vision. The gifts inside you have been maturing quietly, like seeds planted deep beneath the soil. And though others saw nothing happening, heaven saw everything happening. Every trial strengthened your oil. Every betrayal purified it. Every heartbreak deepened it. Every loss expanded it. Your anointing was shaped in silence. You were not anointed on stages. You were anointed in secret battles. You were not anointed through applause. You were anointed through endurance. You were not anointed by people. You were anointed by God. And now that the season has shifted, you are beginning to feel the mantle on your life settle more firmly. You sense a maturity rising in you, a spiritual authority that no longer apologizes for existing. You feel clarity returning. Your inner voice grows sharper. Your discernment becomes louder. You are stepping into your identity with confidence you never had before. Chosen one. Understand this deeply. Your anointing is not loud, but it is powerful. It doesn't need attention. It creates impact. It doesn't demand recognition. It transforms atmospheres. It doesn't shout. It shifts things silently, spiritually, permanently. There is a reason people feel safe around you. A reason broken souls feel drawn to you. A reason your words carry unusual weight. A reason your presence calms storms in others. You carry divine oil. And now, the awakening of this anointing marks the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where you walk differently. A chapter where you think with greater clarity. A chapter where your spirit leads more boldly. A chapter where your purpose aligns with every step you take. You will notice it in the coming days. Conversations feel different. Your spirit responds faster. Your insight sharpens. Your peace strengthens. Your discernment exposes what once confused you. You aren't becoming someone new. You are becoming who you were always meant to be. Your anointing is no longer dormant. It is active. It is alive. It is awakening fully. And heaven watches with expectation, because the world is about to see what God has always seen in you. There is a fire beginning to move through your spirit now. Chosen one, a fire that does not consume you, but clarifies you, a fire that doesn't burn you down, but burns away the fog, the fear, the confusion, and the residue of past battles that tried to cling to you. This is not the fire of destruction. This is the fire of marking, a prophetic fire, a refining fire, a fire that heaven releases only upon those who have reached a season of spiritual readiness. You felt this fire recently, though you may not have recognized it. It showed up as a sudden clarity, as a discomfort with your old habits, as a pull toward deeper truth, as a dissatisfaction with shallow conversations and temporary distractions, as a longing stronger than before for alignment, for purpose, for purity of spirit. That longing is the evidence of prophetic fire moving through you. This fire awakens your vision. It sharpens your discernment. It exposes what you can no longer entertain. It reveals the difference between what feeds your soul and what fractures it. And heaven confirms the season you have stepped into with ancient truth. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 1, verse 5, "Behold among the nations, and regard, and wonder marvelously, for I will work a work in your days, which you will not believe, though it be told to you." There it is, heaven declaring that something extraordinary is unfolding in your life. Something you are not fully aware of yet. Something too great for your past self to comprehend. Something too divine for darkness to interrupt. You are being marked by prophetic fire because you are entering a season that requires clarity, strength, and spiritual insight. You can no longer afford to walk blindly. You cannot afford to repeat old cycles. You cannot afford to tolerate people or environments that dull your spirit. Prophetic fire gives you eyes to see what others overlook. You will begin noticing it in small ways first. A sudden discomfort when you are in a place that doesn't align with your spirit. A quiet knowing when someone's intentions are not pure. A feeling of peace drawing you toward one path and restlessness pulling you away from another. This is not anxiety. This is discernment. This is not fear. This is wisdom. This is not overthinking. This is prophetic sensitivity. Prophetic fire changes how you hear, how you feel, and how you choose. You will find yourself pulled toward deeper things, sacred things, purposeful things. You will begin letting go of behaviors that drain your spirit. You will find your conversations shifting, your priorities changing, your focus sharpening. People who once had access to your mind and emotions may no longer have room in your next chapter. Not because you are better than them, but because your calling is leading you somewhere they cannot follow. This fire is also cleansing you from the inside out, cleansing your motives, cleansing your worries, cleansing your memories, cleansing old wounds that once shaped how you saw yourself. It is making room for the new version of you, the version heaven has been preparing quietly through every battle, every tear, and every breakthrough. And hear this. Prophetic fire does not only cleanse, it activates. It activates your gifts, your intuition, your voice, your authority, your purpose. Doors you once knocked on will begin to open without force. Opportunities that once intimidated you will now recognize your anointing. People who once overlooked you will suddenly see your value, because you are stepping into a season where heaven endorses you. And as this fire marks you, heaven calls you to seal this moment, not emotionally, not dramatically, but prophetically. At the end of this section, I want you to comment a prophetic number, a number we have not used in any previous sections, a number that symbolizes divine completion, spiritual alignment, and the sealing of heavenly instruction. 555. Let me tell you why this matters. 5 represents grace. 555 represents overflowing grace. Grace for transition. Grâce for elevation. Grace for divine change. By writing 555, you are declaring, I'm ready for the shift. Oh, I welcome the fire. Oh, I step into the new. Oh, you are not just typing a number, you are responding to heaven's marking. Chosen one. This prophetic fire is not coming to visit you. It is coming to stay. It is coming to guide. It is coming to awaken. It is coming to elevate you into everything you were created to be. You are being marked clearly, beautifully, undeniably, for something greater than you imagined. You are beginning to walk into a season that feels different. Chosen one, lighter, clearer, almost as if the air around you has shifted. It is the feeling of favor, unusual favor, the kind that cannot be explained by effort alone. You may not fully recognize it yet, but doors are loosening, paths are aligning, circumstances that once resisted, you are beginning to bend in your direction. And this is not coincidence, it is orchestration. For a long time, you became accustomed to struggle. You learned how to function under pressure, how to remain steady in storms, how to keep hope alive even when everything around you felt tight and unyielding. You survived seasons where nothing seemed to move, no matter how much you prayed or how hard you worked. You endured delays that made you question your worth. You lived through disappointments that tried to convince you your destiny was out of reach. But those seasons, as difficult as they were, prepared you for this exact moment. Because when favor arrives, it often feels unreal at first. You're so used to fighting that ease feels suspicious. You're so used to enduring that blessings feel unfamiliar. You're so used to being overlooked that sudden recognition feels strange. Yet heaven wants you to know, this ease is not an illusion. This favor is not temporary. This shift is not accidental. You have reached the point where what you've sown in private is beginning to show in public. Quiet obedience is producing visible breakthrough. Silent faithfulness is turning into open doors. Inner healing is creating outer expansion. Your spirit feels the change before your eyes see it. And that is why something in you has felt strangely hopeful without knowing why. And heaven brings a word to confirm what is already happening around you. The ancient words in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 12. The Lord shall open unto you his good treasure, the heaven, to give the rain unto your land in its season, and to bless all the work of your hands. And in your season, what was once difficult becomes possible. What was once delayed becomes accelerated. And what was once blocked becomes reachable. This is why certain things that used to frustrate you no longer bother you. You're outgrowing the limitations that once kept you stuck. Where you used to feel small, you now feel steady. Where you used to feel insecure, you now feel grounded. Where you used to feel unsure, you now feel guided. That inner shift is the first sign of unusual favor. Unusual favor doesn't just change your circumstances, it changes how you see yourself. You walk differently, not with arrogance, but with awareness. You speak differently, not with pride, but with purpose. You choose differently. Not from fear, but from clarity. There will be things coming to you now that require no chasing. People will come into your life who recognize your value without explanation. Opportunities will find you without you scratching at closed doors. Solutions will appear without the stress you once carried. It is not because you are lucky, it is because the season has shifted. And when the season shifts, everything connected to you shifts with it. You are going to notice support coming from places that once ignored you. You will notice breakthroughs in areas that felt impossible. You will notice the right people arriving at the right time with the right intentions. You will notice the weight you carried for years dissolving without struggle. This kind of favor is not normal, which is why it is called unusual. It stands out. It arrives suddenly. It multiplies quickly. It transforms deeply. It makes people wonder how someone who went through what you did can rise the way you are rising. The answer is simple. You are chosen. And chosen ones do not remain in the shadows forever. You paid the price in the hidden places. You endured the refining. You stayed faithful through droughts. You trusted when nothing made sense. Now heaven honors what you carried. And though your journey will continue to unfold, this particular season marks the beginning of tangible uplift. What was hard will grow easier. What was stagnant will gain momentum. What was confusing will become clear. You will find yourself walking into rooms you once dreamed of, speaking with confidence you once lacked, stepping into alignment that once felt far away. Favor does not choose randomly. It chooses those who have been prepared through fire. And that is why it rests on you now. You are stepping into unusual favor, not because of luck, but because you were shaped for it, refined for it, matured for it. And as you continue forward, you will realize that this season is not a moment, it is a turning point. There comes a point in every chosen one's journey where the cost of becoming who you are called to be becomes undeniable, not dramatic, not sudden, but steady like the quiet tightening of a bowstring before an arrow is released. And chosen one. This is where you stand now. You have grown. You have awakened. You have shifted. And because of that, certain things can no longer remain. Not everything can go where you're going. Not everyone can walk the path assigned to you. Not every habit, mindset, or environment is meant to cross into the next chapter of your calling. Your elevation has a cost. Your clarity has a cost. Your anointing has a cost. And although the world often glamorizes destiny, the truth is that stepping into purpose requires releasing what once felt comfortable, what once felt familiar, what once felt necessary. You are shedding old versions of yourself, not because they were wrong, but because they are too small for where you are being led. This is the season where your spirit begins sorting, softly, quietly, instinctively. You feel yourself pulling away from conversations that drain your energy. You feel a growing distance between you and people who no longer resonate with your growth. You feel a shift inside when old patterns try to call you back. You feel less tolerance for chaos, gossip, spiritual numbness, and emotional instability. It's not rejection, it's realignment. And heaven confirms this shift with ancient truth. We are reminded through the writings in the book of James, chapter 4, verse 8, "Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you." That is the essence of the cost. The closer you move toward God, the farther you drift from anything that competes for your spirit. And that distance, though necessary, can feel painful at times. You may notice relationships fading without conflict. You may feel a quiet separation from people you once leaned on. You may sense old desires dissolving while new ones form. You may feel called into solitude. Not loneliness, solitude that shapes you. Because growth is happening inside you that requires space. Space to think. Space to hear. Space to breathe spiritually. Space to transform. You are entering a season where you cannot afford to lose yourself for the comfort of others, where you cannot shrink your calling to fit into rooms you've outgrown, where you cannot silence your spirit just to keep old connections alive. This is the cost of being chosen. It means you will walk differently. You will choose differently. You will respond differently. And yes, sometimes you will walk alone for a stretch. But understand this, you are not being separated for emptiness. You are being separated for refinement, for clarity, for preparation, for deeper alignment. Every chosen one reaches this point, the moment when God begins to gently, silently remove the weights that cannot follow them into elevation, not out of punishment, but out of protection. And though the release may feel like loss, it is actually making room for your becoming. You may feel a quiet ache when you step away from what once felt normal, but that ache is temporary. What is coming will fill every empty space with purpose, depth, spiritual maturity, and connection that matches who you are becoming, not who you were. Your path is narrowing, not because you are diminishing, but because you are rising, like a mountain trail. The higher you climb, the fewer travelers there are beside you. Not everyone is meant for the altitude of your calling. Not every voice can speak into the heights you are reaching, but those who are meant to walk with you, people aligned with your purpose, anchored in truth, connected to your destiny, they will appear at the right time, in the right season, in the right way. There is no need to chase, no need to cling, no need to force what is naturally fading, because your path is sacred now. You are being shaped into someone who carries wisdom, someone who carries discernment, someone who carries a spiritual weight that cannot be diluted by distractions. This season is not about loss, it is about refinement. Not about separation, it is about preparation. Not about sacrifice, it is about alignment. And as you continue forward, you will look back and realize that everything heaven asked you to release was holding you back from everything you are stepping into. Chosen one. The cost is real, but so is the calling. And what waits on the other side of this refining is a version of you that walks with clarity, purpose, and power you have only tasted in glimpses. You are not losing. You are being shaped. You are being elevated. You are being prepared for more. There is a rise happening inside you now. Chosen one, arise so steady, so intentional, that even the atmosphere around you feels it before you do. It is the rise of the torchbearer within you, the one who carries light not for attention, but for purpose, not to be seen, but to guide, not to impress, but to illuminate. This rising is not loud. It is not chaotic. It is not dramatic. It is like a lantern being lit inside a cavern, slow at first. Then suddenly everything around you becomes clearer. Shadows pull back. Walls you never noticed reveal themselves. Passages you once feared now look conquerable. This is the season where your inner flame refuses to dim. You've been through too much to remain small. You've survived too much to remain silent. You've grown too much to remain hidden. And the ancient words echo this very calling. confirming what is awakening inside you. The prophet Elijah spoke, as recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 18, verse 21. How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. This verse is a mirror for your spirit, because you are no longer wavering. You are no longer unsure. You are no longer split between who you were and who you are becoming. You are stepping fully into the flame, and as that flame rises, so does your clarity. You begin to see the world differently. You begin to see yourself differently. You begin to understand why your journey has been intense, because you were meant to lead, to shine, to carry light in places where others collapse under darkness. Torchbearers aren't chosen randomly. They are shaped through fire. Every heartbreak was heat. Every betrayal was pressure. Every disappointment was shaping. Every silent battle was molding. And now, all of it becomes fuel for your flame. You are becoming a lighthouse soul, one who stands firm even when waves crash, one who shines even when storms rage, one who guides even when visibility is low. Lighthouses don't chase ships. They simply shine. And because they shine, others survive. That is, you now. Your presence has started to shift the atmosphere around you. Your words carry warmth, direction, and grounding. Your spirit brings clarity to people drowning in confusion. Your discernment exposes what others overlook. This is not accidental. This is calling, and chosen one. Allow me to say this softly and sincerely. The messages you receive here, the words that have steadied you, lifted you, reignited strength inside you, are part of your journey as a torchbearer. If these messages have ever carried you through heavy nights or helped you stand again when you felt depleted, then I gently invite you to support this light in whatever way aligns with your spirit. A simple like becomes a spark that helps this message reach someone wandering through their darkness. A share acts like handing your torch to someone who hasn't yet found theirs. A subscribe keeps you connected, so you never lose access to the guidance meant for your spirit in this season. And if your heart ever feels led to donate, understand this: you are not fueling a person, you are fueling the very flame that has been fueling you. Only give when it feels genuine, never out of pressure. And, chosen one, take a moment to leave a comment. Write a thought, a feeling, a realization, even a single line from your heart. Your words may be the lantern another soul needs to see their next step. Because torchbearers don't just receive light, they spread it. Your rising now is not about ego. It's about responsibility. It's about assignment. It's about becoming the version of yourself that heaven has been preparing quietly, gently, relentlessly. This rising changes the way you walk through the world. You begin to protect your peace like sacred oil. You begin to speak with a calm authority that surprises even you. You begin to detach from anything that dims your light. You begin to attract people who see your value instantly. Your flame is stabilizing. Your purpose is sharpening. Your path is clearing. And the world will notice it, not because you shout, but because you shine. You'll find yourself speaking truth softly, yet it lands with power. You'll enter a room and feel the atmosphere shift without a word. You'll comfort others without exhausting yourself. You'll lead without forcing anything. That is the gift of the torchbearer. They glow without trying. And heaven has chosen you for this exact role because your light is not ordinary. It is sacred, steady, and resilient. Darkness has tried to extinguish it too many times. And each time, you rose again stronger. Chosen one, this is your rising, your mantle, your moment. Your torch has been lit, and it will not go out again. You are stepping into a new realm now. Chosen one, a realm that feels different from anything you have experienced before. It is not a place you enter with noise or fanfare. It is a place you step into quietly, almost without realizing it, because it forms within you before it forms around you. It feels like clarity after years of spiritual fog, like breathing in a new kind of air, like finally hearing your own voice again after seasons of silence, like waking up and realizing you are no longer the version of yourself that life once tried to break. This new realm is internal before it is external. It begins in your thoughts. It begins in your spirit. It begins in the quiet corners of your heart where God has been working patiently, steadily, intentionally. You have been shedding parts of yourself you no longer need, the fear, the self-doubt, the old wounds, the patterns you once unconsciously repeated. You didn't lose those parts, you outgrew them. And heaven confirms this transition with ancient words meant for those stepping into spiritual authority, as spoken in the sacred book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9. Be strong and of a good courage, be not afraid, neither be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. This is the essence of the realm you are entering. Strength that doesn't shake, courage that doesn't crumble, confidence that doesn't collapse when life shifts, and awareness that you are accompanied always. You are beginning to feel this truth rise within you. Situations that once overwhelmed you no longer have the same power. People who once influenced your emotions no longer determine your peace. Thoughts that once spiraled now dissolve before they take root. Wounds that once controlled your reactions now release their grip. This is spiritual maturity. This is growth. This is transformation. And it is happening in subtle ways. You pause before reacting. You listen to your spirit before responding. You recognize the difference between temporary emotions and true direction. You choose stillness over chaos. You choose wisdom over impulse. You choose alignment over comfort. Every day, you are becoming more grounded, more aware, more spiritually present. And that presence is changing you. You are not operating from survival anymore. You are operating from identity, from authority, from purpose. You are stepping into a realm where peace is not something you chase, it becomes something you radiate. Where clarity is not something you search for, it rises naturally within you. Where confidence is not something you perform, it flows quietly from your spirit. This realm feels like coming home to yourself. You may notice you no longer tolerate what you once accepted. You no longer ignore what your spirit tries to reveal. You no longer cling to what tries to leave. You no longer fear what you cannot control. This is because your soul understands something now. You are held. You are guided. You are strengthened. You are protected. And when you finally know these truths, not just with your mind, but with your spirit, you walk differently. You begin to make decisions that honor your calling. You begin to distance yourself from environments that dilute your peace. You begin to connect with people who resonate with your growth. You begin to trust your intuition as the voice of your spirit, not the noise of your fear. This new realm is not about perfection, it's about alignment. Alignment with who you truly are. Alignment with the purpose written over your life. Alignment with the path God has been gently steering you toward. And because you are stepping into alignment, your life is beginning to reflect stability. Your emotions stabilize. Your energy stabilizes. Your inner world stabilizes. Your sense of direction stabilizes. You feel yourself becoming more solid inside, less shaken by criticism, less pulled by temptation, less distracted by noise. This steadiness is not accidental. It is the product of spiritual growth. It is the result of warfare. You survived. It is the aftermath of battles that taught you resilience. And though you may not fully realize it yet, this realm is preparing you for more responsibility, more clarity, more influence, more impact. Not the kind of impact that needs applause, but the kind that shifts atmospheres quietly. Not the kind of influence that demands attention, but the kind that transforms hearts simply through presence. Not the kind of responsibility that drains you, but the kind that activates everything inside you. You are stepping into a realm where your inner strength becomes your outer reality, where your healed heart leads your steps, where your awakened spirit guides your decisions, where your identity becomes your confidence. This realm is yours, not because you forced it, but because you grew into it. Chosen one. You belong here. You are standing at the threshold now. Chosen one, the thin, sacred line between who you were and who you are becoming. You can feel it in your spirit. This deep and steady certainty that something has shifted permanently, not momentarily, not emotionally, permanently. This is the day everything begins to change. Not because circumstances suddenly become perfect, but because you have changed so deeply that the world around you has no choice but to rearrange itself accordingly. A healed spirit creates a different life. A sharpened mind makes different decisions. A strengthened heart attracts different connections. And you, right now, are walking into all three. You are leaving behind a chapter where you carried burdens silently, questioned your worth, doubted your strength, and allowed others to underestimate what was planted inside you. Those days shaped you, but they no longer define you. You are stepping into a version of yourself that is rooted, grounded, awake. And heaven seals this moment with ancient truth meant for such turning points. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 7. I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. These words are not about endings, they are about transitions, about arriving at a place where endurance becomes strength, where perseverance becomes identity, where your faith tested, stretched, refined, becomes unshakable. You have fought. You have endured. You have held on when letting go felt easier. And now you enter the chapter where your endurance becomes evidence. This is the moment heaven has been preparing you for through every season, the silent battles, the lonely nights, the confusing detours, the unexpected pruning, the quiet breakthroughs. Every thread of your story converges here. You are not stepping into a future blindly. You are stepping into it equipped. Equipped with wisdom forged through fire. Equipped with discernment sharpened through warfare. Equipped with compassion deepened through heartbreak. Equipped with authority strengthened through survival. And because of that, your steps will not look like they once did. You will walk differently, calmer, clearer, more intentional. You will speak differently, your words carrying weight and direction. You will choose differently, guided by intuition more than impulse. You will love differently, protecting your heart without closing it. The day everything shifts is not a date on a calendar. It is a transformation within you. That transformation is happening now. You may not feel fireworks or emotional highs, but something deeper is occurring, a grounding, a settling, a strengthening. You are beginning to trust yourself again, beginning to trust your discernment again, beginning to believe in your purpose again, beginning to walk with a confidence that is quiet but undeniable. The old version of you would have questioned this moment. The old version of you would have doubted it. The old version of you would have waited for something to go wrong. But that version of you has faded. You have grown through too much to remain the same. You have matured through too much to return to old patterns. You have awakened too deeply to ever go back to sleep. This next chapter isn't about proving yourself. It's about inhabiting yourself, stepping into your identity with steadiness, moving through the world with purpose, recognizing your own worth without needing external validation, choosing alignment with more ease than hesitation. You will notice it as you move forward. Clarity where there was once confusion, peace where there was once chaos, strength where there was once fear, opportunity where there was once stagnation. And even when challenges arise, because they always do, you will meet them from a higher place, a steadier posture, a wiser heart. You have changed deeply, spiritually, permanently. And that is why this is the day everything shifts, not externally first, but internally, irrevocably, undeniably. You are stepping across a threshold into purpose, into clarity, into maturity, into divine alignment. You are stepping into a version of yourself heaven has been shaping patiently, intentionally, lovingly. And as you cross this line, as you breathe into this new chapter, as you step into this next realm of identity, heaven does not whisper, heaven stands, watching you rise, and says, "You are ready, chosen one." Before you go, take a moment and let this final breath settle in your spirit. You've walked through every layer of this journey with honesty, with openness, with a heart willing to hear what heaven was whispering to you. And now, as you stand at the edge of what comes next, I want you to feel the weight of this truth. You are not leaving this message the same way you entered it. There is more clarity in you now, more peace, more strength, more awareness of who you are and what you carry. And because this journey touched you, whether through one section or through all 17, I want to gently, sincerely invite you to help keep this light flowing forward. A simple like may seem small, but it helps this message travel to someone who is standing in the same darkness you were rescued from. A share can become a lifeline, reaching someone whose spirit is on the edge of giving up, reminding them that heaven still sees them. A comment, even just one sentence from your heart, can become confirmation for another soul who reads it. Your words might be the spark that lifts someone else out of heaviness. And if these messages have nourished you spiritually, emotionally, or mentally, I invite you only if your heart feels it to subscribe, so you remain connected to the guidance that is shaping your next season. None of this is obligation. None of it is pressure. It is simply alignment, a way to keep the flow of hope, clarity, and spiritual awakening, reaching others who need it as much as you did. Chosen one. Your presence here matters. Your engagement helps carry this message beyond you. Your light contributes to the rising of others. If this journey touched you, let your interaction become part of the next person's breakthrough. You are seen. You are valued. You are part of this mission.